Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are today, continuing our slot car build. So what are we working at? We're working on producing the car like this. We've got various components we've already drawn. We've already designed and drawn our chassis pan, or bottom plate. We've just finished up drawing the ribs for our chassis. Now we're going to continue in the model. Here are the two parts we've drawn so far. We've got our chassis base, pan, and we have our rib. We should have gone over and put those into an assembly. Check previous videos for help on that. And now we're going to go ahead and move over and add our ribs to the drawing. If you haven't already started a drawing, remember that we can create a drawing by clicking the plus sign at the bottom left corner of the screen, choosing Create Drawing. When that pops up, you're just going to take the anti-A inch template with no views and click OK. And that'll get you to a blank sheet of paper. It looks just like this. Remember, we're not going to use the front sheet. We're just going to rename that and call it Cover Sheet. We'll come back to that later when we finish up the rest of the drawings. The first drawing you should have created was called Chassis. Now we're going to add a new sheet right up here on the top of this pop-up box to the left. If that window isn't open for you, there's a button right here on the left-hand side that'll allow you to open that window up. And the Insert New Sheet button is at the top right corner of the tab on the left. Here's our new sheet, and let's go ahead and add that rib. The Insert View button right up the top here. We're going to use this button just once per sheet. You hit that Insert View button, and the Insert View window pops up, and whatever our most recent current view is will be active. We want to switch over to our rib. So we're going to open up our chassis, find our rib, and then we want to choose a scale that best fits. Now, almost all the time, 1:1 is the scale you want. That is the preferred scale. We want to make it actual size. The only time we use scales other than 1:1 is when 1:1 doesn't fit, because that's actual size. You can see that the front view choice is going to work for me. If the front view isn't what you're looking for, you might need to swap your primary view by choosing the drop-down menu where it shows you the view orientation. So I want my front view. I'm going to bring my mouse over to the middle of the page, lower middle, and this is going to be a one. We'll call it a two view drawing. We're just going to have the front view, and then we'll click up into the right to choose the location of our pictorial view. Once we have the two views in place, we might need to do some adjustment. For example, that guy is a little too big for the space. Oh, I didn't want an extra view, so I'm going to Control Z that. Turns out I was still in my Project Views tool, so I'm going to hit Control and Z on the keyboard at the same time to undo that last move, which doesn't seem to be working for me right now. So in that case, I'm just going to click the view that I just created, and on the keyboard I'm going to hit the Delete button. Now when I go ahead and drag that view, guess what I want? I probably want my view to be shaded, so right-clicking on it, Show Hide, Shaded View. And that gives me the colors and shades for my view. Our front view is going to be where we add our dimensions. So let's go ahead and make sure we have all the dimensions added in here. Looks like I've got center marks for my circles already. I don't know how that happened, but that's pretty cool. That's helpful. We just go ahead and add the measurements for all the parts. Click and release. Make sure we go left to right, top to bottom, getting every single dimension. So left to right. And if things don't fit, okay, so this is not good. I don't want my dimensions to cross each other like this, so I just got to drag the biggest one out. I have that lines up. Okay, I'm going to need a view. I'm going to need a top. Now I'm going to need that dimensions top to bottom. So from bottom to top, bottom up, bottom up. Yeah, let's drag that one to the right. Make it look better on the right. And bottom up. Bottom up. So when you apply your dimensions, we're gonna start at the bottom left corner. We call that the datum point, and we're going to measure from that point left to right, bottom to the top. Make sure we hit every measurable point for linear dimensions, and then we're going to add our dimensions for the size of our circles. There's the size of our circle, and we're going to have 2 of those, so we'll go ahead and edit that one by double clicking on it, and we change the dimension text from just diameter to 2 capital X. Oops. 2 by. I'm going to add that in the dimension text. Now that tells me that both of these holes have that same diameter. Looks like my pictorial view is a little too big, so I'm just going to double click on it. I'm going to make that a little smaller. Go 1/2. There we go. And there's the information we need. So now this is printable, and we can print this out by right-clicking and choosing Export and switching it to a printable format like PDF. PDF format is printable on your conventional office printer. Just click Export and don't change anything else. Click Export there, and it'll drop down in a few seconds. Wait a few seconds, and it should drop down, show up here in the lower left, and there it is. And now that's something I can open and print those drawings out, and you can see all the drawings we have. So that's how you get that prepared for printing to paper, to get a drawing with all your dimensions. Now if I want to print this out, for example, to cut on a laser, I'm probably going to want to go ahead and just create a new drawing sheet that doesn't have all the extra stuff. And this is actually pretty quick and easy, so I'm going to hit the plus sign to create a new drawing again. And I'm going to take the same ANSI A template and click OK. This time we're going to delete everything on the page once this opens up, because I don't really want anything. I just want a blank space. So I'm going to grab everything on the page and delete it so I have a blank page. And then when we insert our view, we still want to make sure we go full scale, 1:1, and we're just going to put a single view on here. This view is the view that I want to print. So this is now exportable. We'll rename that guy Laser Cuts. And I can add my other parts on there as well if I want. So I'm going to insert another view from another part. That other part will go our chassis, and that's going in our top view for that. So now here are the parts I need to laser cut, and I've got that labeled laser cuts. We can move them around, but this will allow us to export these drawings. So right click and export, and this time instead of PDF we're going to use what's called SVG, scalable vector graphics. And that SVG, we export that. That'll allow us to have a file format that we can open up in the software we use to drive our laser. Those are the steps to get you from your model to parts that we can cut out so that we can cut the bodies, the chassis frames for our parts. And so what you've just drawn, just a review, you've drawn the bottom pan for the car, and you've drawn the ribs for the car. You provided places for the axle holes when you created those ribs, and cutouts for the wheels. And now we've created a printable drawing that we can use to either print on paper, so we can have documentation to create it by hand, or print it on paper to make a template that we can trace and cut out, or we can go directly to a machine like our laser printer to cut out the outlines of our parts. So hopefully this helps you out and gets you ready. Create cool stuff, and as always, keep being awesome.